I'll call the meeting to order again. Councillor Smith, could you read the motion to adopt the agenda?
Be it resolved that the Council of Town of Perth adopt the agenda for the March 24, 2026 council meeting as presented.
Thank you. Those in favor? Okay. The land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the traditional home of various Indigenous peoples. As we work towards reconciliation, may we all live with respect on this land and live in peace and friendship with all its diverse peoples. Does anyone have a pecuniary interest they would miss? Councillor Bird.
Thank you, Your Worship. Declaring this in relation to agenda item number 3, 10.2. General title is in relation to the MPP's motion for rideshare programs provincial regulatory framework. For the reason that my wife is an executive director of Atlantic Transportation and has provided a letter of support regarding the initiative.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? Okay. Councillor McRae, adoption of the minutes.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Jim Bolt, be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Perth adopt the minutes of the February 24th, 2026 regular council meeting.
Thank you. Those in favor? Yep. There are no delegations scheduled, no presentations. We have the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to request the removal of an item prior to voting? Deputy Mayor?
Number 3.10.
Okay. I'll pull that from the agenda and discuss it at the end. So could I have a mover and a seconder for the amending motion to remove the items from the consent agenda? Councillor Bolt. And is that seconder? Have a seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor McRae. And those in favor? So I'd ask for a mover and seconder for the final motion as amended. Mover, seconder. Councillor Waterfield, Councillor McRae. Those in favor? Thank you. So, Deputy Mayor, items removed from the consent agenda.
So it's item 10.3, correct? That's the one about the tower on Highway 7? Oh, sorry. Okay. I didn't know.
Okay. We'll have further discussion when the motion comes up. Motion 10.1, Deputy Mayor, could you read that, please?
So sorry, I just need to interrupt here for a second. So we've passed a motion so the original motion to approve the consent agenda was not approved. There was an amending motion to remove item number 10 from the consent agenda. And then we voted on approving the consent agenda with the removal of that item.
But nothing was removed.
Right. So I think we need to revert back to consider the original motion on the agenda to approve the consent agenda, if that's okay.
Yeah,
Mhm.
makes sense.
So, Councillor Bird.
Thank you, Your Worship. Moved by myself, seconded by the Deputy Mayor, that the following motions listed below in the consent agenda be passed and numbered accordingly.
Okay. Discussion, those in favor? That's unanimous. So, motion 10.1. Deputy Mayor, could you read that, please?
Moved by myself, signed by Councillor McCray, be it resolved, the Council of Town of Perth, number one, with the limited information and consultation that has been provided to date, does not support the proposed Alto high-speed rail project. And number two, direct staff to forward this motion to Scott Reid, MP, John Jordan, MPP, and Martin Imblue, President and CEO of Alto.
Okay, any discussion? Councillor Waterfield?
Madam Mayor, I will not be voting in favor of this motion as it is currently stated. The reason being is that while I disapprove of the Alto railway going through Ottawa Valley being the north or south corridor, I am in favor of advocating a line that goes along Highway 401, and it could be considered either for high speed or high frequency. So the way it currently is stated, it says does not support the proposed Alto highway speed rail, period. I'm not in favor of that. I'm not in favor of the two routes going through the valley. However, I am in favor of exploring either a high speed or a high frequency through Highway 401. Therefore, as stated, I will not be supporting it. I would, through you, ask the clerk if I could make a proposed amendment to the motion. Therefore, my proposed amendment is, be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Perth, with the limited information and consultation that has been provided to date, does not support the north-south route proposed through the Ottawa Valley, advocating a line that goes along the Highway 401 corridor that may be either high speed or high frequency. Direct staff to forward this motion to the people as stated. I'd be looking for a seconder.
Councillor McCray? So we have the project as proposed, but it only talks about a north route and a south route. It doesn't consider a route alongside the 401. Is that correct?
Currently, with the information session that was held in Perth and other locations in the valley, the Alto project suggested and gave information on the north or the south route. I am not in favor of that. However, there is advocacy by individuals and other municipalities to advocate and consider either a high frequency or a high speed rail through the 401 corridor. I'm very much in favor of that. Hence my motion that was just adjusted.
So the reason I'm asking is since the current proposal does not contemplate the line going parallel to the 401, could you reject the project on that basis, not considering 401, but only considering the project as proposed?
I would be willing to alter my amended motion so that it does stop when it says does not support the proposed Alto highway speed rail, the north and south route proposed through the Ottawa Valley, period. I'd be willing to stop there.
That makes it clearer.
Okay.
Mhm.
And
Anyone else have
if Councillor McCray is willing to second that, that would be great.
Okay, let's do the seconder first. Councillor McCray, now Councillor Bolt.
Thank you, Chair. I respect the opinion of my fellow councillors. I still feel that this, notwithstanding the fact that Perth isn't even being considered in anything at this point, and they haven't made a final decision, I still feel that the proposed costs for this so-called high-speed rail are far in excess of what I feel we should be spending money on in this country right now with the state of affairs financially that we're in. So for that reason, I will not support the motion.
Yes, I think there's more than one reason for rejecting. Councillor McCray.
So at the present time, there are a number of options on the table. I know the Township of Rideau Lakes, they were the first ones calling on the Government of Canada to add the Highway 401 corridor to future passenger studies and investigate a dedicated passenger rail line in that corridor. The Premier of Ontario has also gone to bat to support the future development and investigation into that. There is also being considered, or it has been brought forward, why not consider conventional rail improvement done incrementally so that we're not spending so much money and spending the surplus on pressing priorities, which I think is what Councillor Bolt is referring to, like healthcare, affordable housing, those types of things. So it is a bit of a betwixt and between type of situation. I think that Councillor Waterfield has covered that off, very eloquently. We are saying with limited information, we still have very limited information. There's got to be a lot of consultation take place to date. And if you could just reread how you've worded that again, Councillor Waterfield, so we make sure we've got this, all our ducks in order.
I would be glad to do that. So I actually made one amendment and then I made a second. So my first amendment was, and I'll read it in full, be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Perth, with limited information and consultation that has been provided to date, does not support the north and south route proposed through the Ottawa Valley, advocating a line that goes along the 401 corridor that may be either high speed or high frequency. That would be my ideal amendment that I would like. If there's opposition to that, I would be willing to state that the motion would be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Perth, with the limited information and consultation that has been provided to date, does not support the north and south route proposed through the Ottawa Valley, period.
There you go.
I think it would be more effective if we had a motion to divide that we do. I think it would be more effective if we had a motion to divide that we deal with the project as presented at the moment, and then we consider presenting an alternative and demonstrate that we're in favor of that.
Therefore, Mayor Brown, if I understand you correctly, I want to do a adjustment to the motion, simply stating that we do not support the proposed north and south route proposed through the Ottawa Valley, period.
Correct.
And I'd be looking for a seconder there.
I'll second that.
Okay. So we will vote. Any other comments before we proceed? No, so we will vote on the Councillor Bolt.
I just want clarification. So if I support that motion, I'm still sort of kind of supporting them building the rail. I hear where, Councillor McCray is coming from. I mean, as time goes on, we need a better railway between Quebec and Toronto at the very least. I still feel that, and for all the reasons that our member of parliament stated, it's just too much at this point, and I just feel that it's not viable financially. And the estimates right now are just estimates, and I'm sure they're going to be even higher. I think with all of the problems we have financially going on in our country right now, this is one project I just will not support one way or the other.
Okay, so if we separate the motion vote on the motion that was just proposed, that means that we oppose the project as presented, which of course does include the costs. Yes, okay. And then, yes, Councillor Bird.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I intervene only to say that through the normal processes, nothing has been proposed in relation to the corridor outside of the north-south.
Correct.
The time will come, if that gathers any traction, that we will be asked, undoubtedly by Kingston, if not others, to support their position. It just might be easier to go with this motion, then we get everybody on board and everybody will vote. It'll be a unanimous vote on this. And then we deal with the 401 corridor if that comes up, if it becomes a real consideration. I'm just trying to make things move along and get us all on the same page.
Okay. Councillor McCray.
Through you, Chair, I believe we are on the same page. You know, basically the motion that Councillor Waterfield has read is basically saying that we're not in favor of the north of the south corridor. And that's it. And that with limited information and consultation that has been provided to date, we're not willing to agree with that. That's my take on it. And when, as stated, when we move forward with these other alternatives, then we can make a decision on that.
I'm sorry, if I could just defend my position as I spoke there, Chair, please. I was seeing Councillor Bolt struggle. We can get a unanimous vote on this one and then deal with the hypothetical if it ever becomes anything close to reality.
Yeah.
Councillor Waterfield.
So Mayor Brown, my intention with my amendment is to simply state that we are against the north and south route proposed through the Ottawa Valley.
Right.
By just stating that, we're not stating we're against the project. We're stating that we're against the route, both of those proposed routes through the Ottawa Valley.
But the project as proposed does include projected costs, does it not?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
The project as proposed does include projected costs, does it not?
Yes, with the information at the public session, there has been discussion about cost of the whole project. But the purpose of the amendment is simply stating that we as a municipality are not in favor of the two proposed routes through the Ottawa Valley. And we're
And it's
supporting
intended-
the concerns of our neighbors with regards to those two routes.
Okay, so I'm going to ask for a vote on the amended motion, the second amendment. Is everybody clear on what we've ended up with as a second? Okay, so those in favor of that motion? Those opposed? Okay. Well, opposed. Deputy Mayor has opposed. Okay. Do you wish at this, do you think it would be beneficial at this time to propose an alternative? In other words, the Highway 401?
At this time, I will not propose that second motion.
Yeah,
I'm
think
happy
that's
just having the motion that I amended passed. Thank you.
I can see the logic behind it, but we know nothing about, there may be some technicality
Right.
that prevents it. Okay, we're good. Councillor Bolt, 10.2.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Barry Smith. Be it resolved, the Council of the Town of Perth direct staff to send a letter to support the letter of support to the Honorable John Jordan, MPP, Lanark, Frontenac, Kingston, to express support for the province of Ontario establishing a province-wide regulatory framework for rideshare services.
Okay. Discussion? No, noting the pecuniary interest. Those in favor of those voting? Okay, that's unanimous. On 10.3, Councillor Waterfield.
Be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Perth issue a letter of concurrence to Innovation, Science and Economic Development Canada, ISED Canada, in relation to the application for the Bell Telecommunications Tower at 25 Dufferin Road as presented in report 2026 Cal 3.11.
Discussion on this one? Deputy Mayor?
So 20 years ago, the Town of Perth Council looked at that corner and said, it's not a nice entranceway, the Town of Perth. So the council of the day worked with the owners of that property and put up the Perth sign to make it a welcoming to our town. We did the same thing back at the car lot at Highway 511. I read the report, and this has nothing to do with staff, but I read the report, and I think it's a company that goes around and buys up properties to put towers on and then sells them off to Bell, but I'm not sure because I don't really know. But anyway, I don't want a telecommunication tower stuck on the gateway of the Town of Perth. in the next couple of years, we're going to spend $8, $9, $10 million on a 3-year project to rebuild Highway 7 over. And this is the time where we can beautify Highway 7 that we've heard about for my 30 years on council, that it's a wasteland. And out of the blue comes this company that says, hey, we're going to buy this piece of property that 3 months ago or 4 months ago, the engineers who were rebuilding over Highway 7 says we have to shut the road right beside it because it's a dangerous area. And now we're going to stick an ugly tower up. There's a tower out on the Rideau Ferry Road. There's a tower on Highway 511. We just put a tower up on town property at the water tower. Don't tell me there's a cell gap half a mile away on Highway 7, because there isn't, because I'm a Bell customer and I don't have a cell gap. So I'm disappointed that these companies are going around buying up properties and paying off people $10,000 a year for their property or whatever they're doing. But at the end of the day, I think that we're trying to make Perth a place to come and to settle here and to visit here. And if I was coming from out of town, the first thing I noticed when I pull into town is a big telecommunications tower stuck on the entranceway to my town. So I think we should send a letter to, I know we missed the cutoff date of February 30th, but I think we should send a letter to Economic Science and Economic Development Canada saying we reject this proposal at the town of Perth. I think every municipality should have the power to reject towers going up inside their municipalities. If this tower is really needed for cell gaps, it probably should be out in the fields, probably 3 or 4 or 5 miles away from Perth. I sit on county council. For the last several years, we've been working on the EORN project, which is closing off the cell gaps through the entire Lanark County and all over Eastern Ontario. And there's, I don't know, 30 towers or something supposed to be going up in Lanark County. I think we're at 17 or 20 right now. I don't know if this tower is part of that project. I would think it's not. But anyway, my point is, I don't want a telecommunications tower stuck at the entranceway of the town of Perth. I think it's just not an appropriate thing to have there.
Is that it there? Can you put that on the screen? Joanna. So, I remember a few years ago when we were drilling a well on our property, which was on Highway 7. Highway 7, MTO was supposed to be notified that there was a well there. So are the restrictions still that stringent? And do we know if this tower's location, has it had approval from MTO?
MTO was circulated along with neighbors within 66 meters of the tower. I know we had one of the adjoining neighbors note that they didn't feel that they had been circulated. So we went back and looked at the circulation list and they were in fact included. So I think they're going to sort of see what happened there. It may be that I think we provided the mail list, but the notice came from the telecommunications company. At any rate, yes, we spoke when there was a meeting with the company, and Michael and myself. We mentioned the redevelopment of Highway 7 and they should be speaking to the MTO and reviewing those options. They were very thankful at the time, knowing that there was going to be updates to Highway 7, and said they would absolutely speak to them. So other than that, we received no comments from anybody. And this is, I respect what you're saying. Absolutely. This process is out of the hands of planning and building. Its sort of jurisdiction is above us. So, like we write them right out of the zoning bylaw. If there's a communication tower, we write everything out for height and everything. So there's really no say. This is just a process done, I believe federally. And but they do look for comments. We received none. And council at the last meeting agreed to that, but certainly we have not yet sent the letter of consent yet.
Okay, just want to find out the area here. So it's this grassy area here. Oh, so it's some distance off the highway? Do you have any idea how far? Or Joanna, how far would it be off the highway? Is that specified?
I would have to pull up the
I believe
notice.
it's behind Penny's place. Back up in
Um,
here.
Okay,
So
I saw somebody over here, I think. Someone have their hand up? Jim?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to start with a question and then make a comment if I could. My question is, if this is privately owned land, why are we even debating it? Do we have the authority to stop it if we don't want it, being that it's on privately owned land? I'd like that answered first.
I don't believe we can. There is a process, and part of that process is they ask for municipal consent. I think it's, I mean, I haven't gone through it enough times, but my understanding is it's sort of, they're just saying there haven't been comments from anybody. We've spoken to all the authorities. Nobody takes issue with it. And going ahead and doing it. I don't know if we didn't send the letter of consent, what the next steps of the process would be. I have not been through this process before. Michael, have you had that experience?
So this isn't
through the
on
chair.
town property.
No, it's not on town property, and through the chair, it's a federal government thing which supersedes just like rail and just like banking and other federally regulated things. I think it's a courtesy that they ask for our consent. I really don't think they care what we have to say.
So this is more or less a formality.
Mhm.
So if I may then on that note, I gave it a lot more thought after the meeting. They built the latest tower on Sunset Boulevard right across from where I live. And at first I was concerned about, how it looked and everything else. Now that particular tower, it's set back far enough off the road. It's not an eyesore, and you see these towers all over the country. That said, the deputy mayor made an excellent point. Sunset Boulevard is not an entrance into the town. We're always looking for ways to make the entrance into the town, no matter which direction you're coming from, as pretty as possible, as inviting as possible. So until, obviously, if they don't care whether we care or not, it's a moot point. But I think having given it more thought, and for the reasons that the deputy mayor's already stated, I would also be against it. So if you hold a vote, I guess we'll find out what the rest of the council feels. But I think for that reason, I think he's spot on when he says there's other areas where they can find to put these towers up.
Yeah, anyone else comment? I saw Councillor Waterfield first, and Councillor Bird.
thank you, Mayor Brown. Through you to Joanna, are there other properties that we could suggest that could be an alternative?
I don't think we have the right to suggest private properties.
What about municipal?
I don't know enough about the selection process for where those towers go. I would suggest that the majority of our properties are within floodplain or environmental protection zones. Not necessarily all of them, but a good chunk of them. So it would take some time to go through and try to figure out where it might best be suited. And, quite frankly, I think you'll run into this issue no matter where you put it.
Thank you.
Councillor Bird?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just to say that I think the deputy mayor made some excellent points. More than the thought that I gave it in between the last meeting and now. If it doesn't matter in the big scheme of things what we say, then it matters in the messaging that our community might pick up on. So I suggest that the letter is not of concurrence, and as the deputy mayor has suggested, it'll be a different motion, I know, but that we don't support it. At least we have made that clear.
Councillor McCray?
Thank you, Your Worship. As the council representative on the BIA in the Chamber of Commerce, bringing business into our community is especially important. And something like that, which could be potentially such an eyesore, I couldn't agree more with our deputy mayor in regards to that. And I think even though it's something we may have to live with, I concur with Councillor Bird that message needs to be sent out. And maybe you would even seek the support of the Perth and District Chamber of Commerce and the BIA, since business is a driving force in our community, and so is tourism. It's an economic driver. And that certainly isn't the first thing you like to see when you come into a community.
And anyone else? No, then I'm going to call the question. Those in favor? Those opposed? Okay. Thank you. Bylaws, Councillor Bird, 11.1.
Thank you, Worship. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Bolt. Be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Perth has read the following bylaws a first, second and third time short, passed and signed by the Mayor and Clerk.
Okay, thank you. Discussion? Those in favor? Thank you. Unanimous? Okay. 12.1. Councillor Waterfield.
Be resolved that the Council of the Town of Perth pass bylaw number 5256 to appoint Steve LaRue as the Chief Building Official for the Town of Perth, having been read a first, second, and third time short, passed and signed by the Mayor and Clerk as presented in Report 2026, Council 3.1.
Thank you. Joanna, this is in your bailiwick. Do you wish to make any comments?
Not any specific comments except to just acknowledge that Steve has been on board with the town for several years now as the Deputy Chief Building Official. And I think he's doing well in his role, and seeing him move up upon our Brian Gass's retirement is very positive. And so we look forward to him, taking up the charge on this.
Any questions? No, those in favor? It's carried. Okay, committee, board, etc. reports. Lanark County Council. Just one thing I wanted to mention is that a couple of meetings ago, there was a motion brought forward by a group regarding anti-Semitism, and that engendered quite a conversation. The warden felt that we should not single out anti-Semitism, that we should mention all groups in which there was prejudice, so that staff was directed to come back with a hopefully acceptable alternative. And Deputy Mayor, is there anything you want to speak to?
I wasn't at the meeting. I was out of town.
Yep. So the hospital board, one thing that was interesting at the meeting this morning was that it's probably a well-known fact that the hospital is at a deficit, and the reason is that it's been underfunded for years. And I always thought that this situation was particular to Perth Smith Falls Hospital. So I asked that question, and the answer is virtually every hospital in Ontario is operating at a deficit because of inadequate funding from the province. Climate Change Advisory Panel. Councillor Smith, has the committee met?
The climate change meeting was canceled and rescheduled to this Thursday.
Okay, thank you. Heritage Perth Advisory Panel, has it met?
I'm going to let David speak to this. I advised that I was going to Zoom the meeting, and tried for 10 minutes before the meeting to get in, and 15 minutes after it started, until I gave up and notified Megan that I had been trying to get in, and somehow the connection was not there.
So Councillor
David?
Bird? Do you have anything to report?
Yes. Thank you, Chair. Somewhat ironic that the Heritage Perth Advisory Panel suffered at the hands of hostile technology, isn't it? The main point that was covered was that the issue of the ghost signs on the heritage type building stores downtown has come to the fore again. I'm afraid, as a member of that panel, I let it slip off of my radar. It is going to be discussed further. Director McNally is on top of this. If the preservation of those signs is very, very specific in the type of paint that can be used, it has to be a linseed oil-based paint, and of course, it's private property. So there's going to be approaches to this, but they are ghost signs and they are disappearing. But there's clearly people in the community that care that they don't disappear completely. So the council will be seeing something in the near future in relation to that.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Nothing to report from the OPP board.
Yeah. Striking Committee. Councillor Bolt.
Nothing to report at this time.
Yeah. Lanark County Climate Action Working Group, Councilor McCray.
That meeting was to be Tuesday. It was then rescheduled to Monday, and unfortunately an agenda never went out. So I got a message from Jasmine Ralph that the meeting had been canceled, so I guess it's going to be rescheduled, Your Worship.
Yeah. BIA.
So,
Segue into Chamber of Commerce.
yes. So the BIA, we had a meeting on February the 18th, 2026. And I brought two items forward at that meeting. The first was supported by Sean Vernier, who is the chair of the Stewart Park Festival. And it included the BIA to develop relationships with broader organizations in Perth, so we can measure the impact of our marketing initiatives that we are offering. I also articulated that the BIA needs to be a little clearer in articulating how council can support our businesses in the community. And in fact, we are meeting on Monday, earlier than planned, to revisit our strategic plan, of which will be reviewed and will hopefully represent members better in the area of content and delivery method. And I've asked specifically for key performance indicators. There was a suggestion that beautification be one of our core pillars as part of our strategic plan, since tourism is such an economic driver, which is why the whole notion of communities in bloom came up, and we've already discussed that, so I don't need to go into that. That's something we'll look forward to years to come. There was a discussion about artificial intelligence policy as how that pertains to the Stewart Park Festival and to the arts community. And then I'm also part of, when you sit on the BIA, you sit on the promotional committee. So that was another meeting, and that was on March 4th. The promotional committee, we're working on Perthalicious, which takes place between April the 8th and the 15th. Festival of Maples, which is coming up shortly, and how can we were discussing how the BIA could support the chamber in regards to that. And Once Upon a Christmas, data collection, and the 2027 marketing plan. So that's pretty well the promotion in the BIA. And now the Chamber of Commerce, many of us have been we've all been invited to attend the AGM, which is tomorrow at lunchtime between 12 and 1:30. I'm sorry, between 11:30 and 1:30, I believe. I think you're going to see, first of all, there's a whole new slate of directors coming into the board, which is nice. Things are moving around. Davin Dossett his name has come up for the director. Haley Bowes from Aromatherapy, Shannon Foss, Anderson and Foss Lawyers. Desi Leagsma, Westport Flooring, and Emily Westbrook Farm. So you can see it's quite a range of people. And just so people are aware, the Perth and District Chamber of Commerce is covers over 300 members now, and it represents 4 different municipalities, not just Perth. Okay, 4 in total. They also had an advocacy committee, and they had a meeting that was held at the Curling Club, and there was roundtable discussions. The meeting was chaired by Josh Smith, and basically invitations were sent out to members of the Perth and District Chamber of Commerce. And some of the things that came up were basically they were talking about concerns that business people might be having, and they had everything to do from permitting to development to lack of childcare needs, those types of things. And I think my understanding is they're going to be having meetings with Lanark Highlands, also with Tay Valley, and also with Drummond North Elmsley. There was a lot of talk about the Maple Fest that's coming up, Festival of the Maples, and they received funding to go towards the Great Canadian Lumberjack Show, chainsaw event, and also $2,000 to go towards the Plaid Party Dance in partnership with Hospice Hub. And the big event that has become an annual now is the Bossy, which is a ladies' workshop day. Last year it was sold out, and this year it's on June the 9th, and it's going to be at Ecote venue. So they're in the planning process of that. So I hope to see you all tomorrow at the Perth and District Chamber of Commerce Annual General Meeting, AGM.
Yes, I will be there.
Good.
Okay, so Councillor Waterfield.
I will begin with the RBCA. The provincial legislature is back in session this week, and I anticipate that there will be an amendment to the Conservation Authority Act, which will then implement the Ontario Provincial Conservation Authority Board. And as of February of 2027, there will be the collapse of 36 conservation agencies down to 9, not 7. So the government has listened, and we've gone from 7 to 9. The RBCA will be combining with Mississippi, Raisin, and South Nation conservation areas to form the St. Lawrence region, which will be effective in February of 2027. Since the last council meeting, I've been in numerous meetings and discussions. A few highlights: on February the 26th, I chaired our AGM and board meeting. On February the 28th, we had our kickoff outdoor adventure challenge celebrating the RBCA's 60th anniversary. It was a snowshoe event at the Perth Wildlife Reserve, which was sold out. I did welcoming remarks and spent a good part of the rest of the day snowshoeing with the public, and it was a great fun event. We'll be having many more throughout the year. On March the 12th, I was a guest at the South Nation AGM, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And it's important now going forward that the conservation authorities that are emerging have more and more communication, and we've certainly begun that process. That's my comments for the RBCA. With regards to the Traffic Advisory Working Group, the March 11th meeting was canceled, Mayor Brown, because of weather. Our next meeting will be on June the 10th. The agenda items from the March meeting were not urgent, so they've been transferred to the June meeting. With regards to the library, on May 16th, I attended our board meeting. The key discussion there was a report from KGBM with regards to the auditor's report, and Katie Mahone, of course, did that, which we all know, and that pretty well took up most of that meeting. That's my report.
Councillor Bolt.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just had a quick question for Councillor Waterfield with respect to the RBCA. Gary, with the amalgamation of the units that you're amalgamating with, do you know yet if there's going to be any of the bricks and mortar buildings that are in existence Are they going to be sold off? Are they going to be kept open? Do you know that? And certainly the one in Manotick, a beautiful building. I mean, do you know anything about that?
At this point in time, all these buildings will remain in operation, which is good to hear. As you're well aware, being a past member of the board, certainly the one in that you're referring to is absolutely gorgeous, but the 4 buildings will remain operating for those parts of the larger region.
So on that topic, is the amalgamation more of an administrative amalgamation, and each area will keep on doing what they were doing?
If I understood your question correctly, Mayor Brown, the intent of the government in terms of going from 36 to now 9 effective February of 2027 is to streamline services and processes. That is the intent. There will be transition committees for each of the new 9 regions, which will consist of representatives from the former regions. And the whole idea with the new board that comes into effect, I would suspect within the next week or so in the legislature, is that this new board will then be the administrative body then for the 9 new regions. So the whole intent of the provincial government really is streamlining services, having more consistency for the ultimate customer. That's the intent. Was that your question?
Yes.
Thank you.
Councillor McCray, if you could read 13.13.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Gary Waterfield. Be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Perth receive the Council Committee, local boards, and external reports and minutes as presented.
Thank you. Those in favor? Motion's carried unanimously. There's no new business. Are there any questions from the media?
Olivia with Metroland, no questions, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to move a motion
Okay.
that the council of the town of Perth direct staff to send a letter to whatever level that government is that's responsible for the towers, to advise them of our opposition to the placement of a tower in the proposed location on Highway 7 or Dufferin Road, not Highway 7.
I'll second that.
Discussion? Yes, sir.
I think we should let them know the council that represents the town of Perth is opposed to that proposed location for 2 main reasons. One, we're hoping to rehabilitate all of Highway 7 in a multi-million-dollar, multi-year project, as well as improve the gateway presentation of the town of Perth. And I don't think a tower is a great visual first impact for the town of Perth.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Any discussion? Those in favor? Thank you. So we will be going into, I see no questions from the media. Going into the closed session, Councillor Smith. Sorry, that's the wrong one. Councillor Bolt.
Thank you, Your Worship. Moved by myself and seconded by Deputy Mayor Ed McPherson that the Council of the Town of Perth resolve itself into closed session at 6:18 p.m. pursuant to the Municipal Act 2001 for the following purpose. Number 1, potential sale of town-owned land located at 18 Wilson Street West, subject to Section 239, subsection 2. C, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. And K, a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board.
Thank you. Those in favor? Carried. We're meeting in the sunshine room. 1. Could you read that, please?
Very microphone.
Be it resolved that the council of the town of Perth rise and report from closed session at 6:51.
Thank you. Those in favor? And the rise and report is in closed session, the council discussed a potential disposition of town-owned lands located at 18 Wilson Street West. Staff were directed to proceed as directed by council in closed session. And then we have the confirmation of proceedings bylaw, Councillor Bolt.
By myself, by Council Waterfield, be resolved, Council of Town of Perth passed bylaw number 15-257, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Town of Perth at its meeting held March 24th, 2026, be read a first, second, and third time short, passed and signed by the mayor and clerk.
Thank you. Those in favor? Okay. And Deputy Mayor, number 20.
Moved by myself, second by Councilor McCray, be resolved the council of the town of Perth adjourn the meeting, the March 24th, 2026 council meeting at 6:52 PM.
Thank you. Those in favor? Okay, most